Transitions. Does that word transition make you feel successful or does it make you feel stressful? We are diving into how transitions are actually a phenomenal element to success when you get your head and arms around how to do transitions successfully. Welcome to another Kristin and Charlie chat here on the Successability YouTube channel. Hey, the word transition, Charlie, I am very proud to say that I said transition 157 times before we started and I did not twitch once. I have come a long way because transitions typically would trigger all of my fear, anxiety, overthinking, MVP-ness. I always say if there was a Super Bowl for overthinkers, I would be the MVP because I tend to do that. But today we are going to dive into how transitions and really getting good with working through transitions are such a critical element to success in all that you are working towards, which I never, ever would have believed that even just several months ago. And now I've realized how when you can master that, really it has set me up to do some magnificent things. And I wanted to give this little thought that we can dive into here. I read something the other day and I'm totally going to butcher it, but went along the lines of transitions give you an opportunity to look at the recurring paths in your life and pretty much hang on to the good and ditch the bad. It's a nice little evaluation of the things that you're constantly doing in life. So Charlie, transitions. I know you're the one, you're kind of like transitions give you a little sparkle in your eye when I was always twitching.
Well, there's all different kinds of transitions. I mean, there's transitions from high school to college. There's transition from college into the workplace. There's transition from one job into a whole new type of corporate or type of job. There's transitions in a relationship. There's transition out of a relationship. I mean, there's transitions to move from one place to another. And there's a big one, too. Another one, transition of eyes decreasing, declining as we age. Our vision gets worse. So we can go from low vision, legal blindness to partial sighted to only having light perception. So there's all sorts of transitions, some completely out of our control and some that we choose in our lives to transition into newer, better, greater, more success path. And I think that's where this can be a very stressful, anxiety-filled thing in our lives, or, as you said in the beginning, it can be something that we can see as successful if we see ourselves transitioning well and successfully.
Well, I know that that's the key right there. Seeing yourself. That's what did it for me finally there were two elements that we can dive into. The first was seeing myself or, my kids on the other side of the transition. Seeing Michael successful at college in his freshman year in that first month where he had to really figure out how to navigate a lot of things. When I envisioned him successful, and I did the whole, what does that look like? He's got friends, he's navigating the campus, he's, blah, 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 all the things. And then backed up from there, how to get him to that point. So it was like the other side of the coin of this is preparing in advance for the transition. Now, of course, we say that, but not all. You can't prepare for every transition. When the guy after 19 years decides he is just done and walks out with no preparation, okay, that's different. But today we're talking, right now anyway, we're talking about the ones you can plan for. When I was moving, I literally, last year when I was downsizing from the house that I raised my kids in for 17 plus years, I actually would sit there once I found the house I was moving to and would envision us happy and thriving in the new house. I was also envisioning dollars staying in my bank account and not flying out because the other house was so big. I was just wasting a lot of money. But I envisioned all that and then took the steps to get us there. So what you said, Charlie, is so important, where you see yourself successful on the other side of it.
why do why do people stay in jobs they don't really like? Maybe they're not making the money, they don't like the leadership, they don't really love going to work or even like it. Why do people stay in relationships that, deep down they want to make that decision to step out, but it just that transition to be alone or something, or I don't want to harm or hurt anybody. Why are these transitions in life? Why are they so difficult for people? Well, I think I know what it's like when I just tried to transition with a lower self-esteem, without much self-confidence, without a clear picture of what success might look like. I just kind of was kicked into the new transition. Like, it was forcefully done, like school, like our school system. They just do that. You get pushed into the next grade, you get pushed through as long as you do your work. But there comes a time in life where you get to make the choice. You get to say, today I'm going to stay in this job that I'm not loving, because the idea of stepping out, moving it out of this so-called comfort zone. It's what I know. It's my best way of practice living, so to think I got to meet new people, I got to learn new systems, I got to, oh my gosh, have a new boss, all of a sudden that you start building the vision of your transition as something that is scary. And I'm probably going to fail. So I think I'm just going to stay here. And you and I both know that in the low vision and blindness world, in families, that that it adds a layer to transitions. It really does. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know in my life it did, and I know I tried to transition into college, but I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the vision of success. I didn't have the self-confidence to step into a new me that was going to seek help to go to college and be amongst a massive amount of people that were perfectly sighted. And I just felt alone. I remember being on a campus. I didn't know where anything was. I didn't ask for help. No, excuse me. No, nobody helped guide me around the college. I was lost, and I felt I just sputtered out of control. And within a month, I was done. I couldn't handle it anymore.
Well, and that is actually the story of 85% of kids still to this day that are blind or low vision that go to college. They end up dropping out. It's overwhelming. And one of the biggest words that you said in there, I actually wrote it down and circled it, was confidence. All the things to do on the front end to build the confidence to then, step into all of those. I mean, you're right. It adds another layer when there's a blindness, disability, something going on that adds an additional layer to a transition like going to college. So preparation on the front end is key. But, I just had this massive aha moment as we're talking, Charlie. I'm sitting here thinking, well, one of the bonuses to blindness is that when my guys went to college, we did the 4 days, 5 days of navigating the campus, memorizing routes, finding out where everything was. And they were the ones, same thing happened in elementary school, middle school, and high school. They ended up being the tour guides, I would call them, of all these stressed out kids that didn't get that privilege of memorizing campuses and getting to know buildings in advance. And I'm sitting here thinking, my daughter is about to transition next year. She's finishing high school this year, and she's sighted. She is so nervous about college because she's shy and she doesn't, she loves being on the basketball court, but and in the classroom, but she's got just some unique stuff that she's not exactly looking forward to this transition to all these people she doesn't know. And I'm thinking, duh, Kristin, take her to the campus days in advance, show her around, get to know where everything is, build her confidence, start meeting people, not just her teammates, start meeting other people so that when I drop her off, same as Michael and Mitchell, there's a level of confidence there that they've got some things under their belt and can tackle the other things that come their way. I'm so glad we do this chat because Chris is going to benefit greatly next year.
Well, as the things I was saying, like when I went to college, all the things I was up against, you just turn around. You say, "Oh, so you went into an environment that you weren't aware of as a legally blind guy, and you expected it to easily work out. I mean, come on, what can I do to break down that barrier of that fear of entering that environment? Go to it, like you said, go to it early, walk it, learn it, get to know it, build that vision that you will see yourself succeeding and that confidence level. And we do so many different principles. It's like, do you believe it's possible? Do you believe you have what it takes to succeed at school, at this new job, in this relationship, outside this relationship? Do you believe in yourself? I believe in you. I know, because I've been through some really hard things in life. And you know what it took? It took what we're going to talk about in our upcoming 2-part webinar. We're going to break this down so you can have a plan, an action plan that you can check the boxes, so you know with confidence whether you're a parent releasing your student, your child, saying, I know now, I feel confident inside of me, so I'm not worried. Like, I'm sitting at home thinking as a parent, oh gosh, I hope they're not having this struggle and that struggle. I'm thinking of me and the way I feel, and I'm so worried that kids are going to be mean to them. They're gonna do the wrong thing. They're gonna look stupid, or people are going to tease them, or they're going to walk into the wrong classroom. Probably all that's going to happen. And you told me a story once when Michael was sitting in a classroom and a student came running in and sat down and said, hey, is this, anatomy? I have no idea, the class. And Michael said, oh, no, this is so-and-so. He's like, darn it, I'm having so much trouble finding that class. And Michael's like, are you cited? What's your problem? And it's just funny. We're not alone. Okay. All people, you just said it. Your daughter has some fear building. Why? Because she's starting to build a vision of, this is going to be scary. She's going to build, I don't know people. This is uncomfortable. This is a new environment for me. And guess what? It's not easy. Okay? Get over that. We can need to accept the only way to grow and to get and to be and to do in life is that you got to step into these transitions and suck it up. But with that, like we talk about all the time, with that taking responsibility, with the belief, it's possible to believe in yourself. And when I say, well, I don't know. Well, if you did know, what does that look like? I say that to people all the time. And it eases the fact the I don't know is like an obstacle, is a barrier that our subconscious or something's putting up so we can stop ourselves, And when people say to me, well, I don't really know. Well, if you did know, what would that look like? And then they answer. So they do know. They just don't want you to know that they know, because that's even scarier.
Yeah, I mean they don't think it's possible, which is such a big one of my biggest tips that I tell people. No matter what it is you're facing, the only thing that I knew back when I first got the diagnosis of blindness, and I was devastated because I didn't know anybody that was blind. When I was first going through divorce, and had no idea how to manage all that, like all of the things that have happened to me, my first go-to thing is find people that have successfully managed this. They are on the other side, and the way that they look now on the other side is how you want to look, right? If you can't create your own vision, look at people, say, I would like to be like that. And if she can do it, I can do it. That was my first step in, okay, they did it. Now let me align with them to find out, what did they do to make this happen? When I went through divorce, that transition, I didn't want to be in the mega groups that are out there that are just complaining about it. And, oh my God, my ex this, and now I don't have this one. I didn't want to be on the complaining side. I wanted to be on the thriving side. And it took me a while to find people that were surviving, thriving, and some of them had even worse stories than I did, and learn from them. And even when my boys were in elementary school. Like I had found role models that were thriving in jobs that they wanted and created lives of their dreams. But when it got to like the nitty gritty of Charlie's favorite word, the IEP meeting, and things like tools that they really needed, I found one of Michael's friends who was 2 years ahead of him and totally blind and very successful in school. And all I would do is call him, Rocco, dude, what do I need to ask for? What are the tools that are out there? What's the best technology right now? And he would give me the list. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then I would walk in there like I was the one that did all the research. But it was finding other people that I could visualize myself being like, and then mimicking what they did and getting guidance from them. That was huge for me in transitions, and it still is.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I'm getting too comfortable in these chats, and my corniness just keeps coming through.
That is a new one. Let's transition away from that real quick. Just kidding. Yeah, this is anything is possible. What the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. But you said it. You got to model. You got to find someone to help model this for you, shape it for you. It just lessens the stress and burden. You're not alone. All of us on this planet transition. Some of us stay stuck for a long time and stay angry and maybe a little resentful and fear of the uncertainty of, I don't know what it's going to look like if I step out of this that I'm in. And that I see a lot of people stuck in that. And that's what we do here in the academy. The whole thing is to come together, share what doesn't work for me, or what didn't work, or how I approach it. It's not so much what didn't work for me, it was the approach I took, how I did not know how to maximize my environments for success. And then you said another really important thing, those of us with low vision and blindness, we need to transition into adaptive equipment. And we need to transition out of certain equipment that no longer works for us and learn new equipment and take new risks and ask for more help and learn more keystrokes and more hardware. And then we need to mainstream it, implement it into our daily lives. We need to have that mastered and a mindset mastered, because these massive transitions of college and work and these big shifts and changes in our lives, we need certain tools. Besides a healthy mind and a good modeling, we need to bring along our adaptive technology on that journey, because that's a big part of our success.
Yeah, the other thing I realized too and this piggybacks on what you just said too. One of the things that I notice with my boys is they'll do a plan A, plan B, plan C, because if the first system, like the disabilities office at the college, I have yet to meet one that is phenomenal. They're supposed to be the go-to. That's plan A, right? Michael knew right away we needed a plan B and a plan C because they were only going to get him so far. So he always has multiple options. Instead of sitting and sulking and banging on a door that isn't opening for him, he always has multiple options. And same with all of the assistive technology, because there was a time when the thing that saved their lives in terms of literacy in school was that Braille note taker. I don't know what went on with the company that made them for a couple of years, but the battery was dying, constantly dying. Right when it was our big saving element, this thing kept dying. So they had to have plan A, B, and C. They would charge it overnight. They had the backup charger in their backpacks. And then it got to be that they even had to have ones in classrooms where this machine was so critical to keep up with all the work. They had backups there. And then they had the Perkins Brailler as the plan D. Like they had to have multi-levels to keep up with all their AP classes. So they weren't going to sit there and sulk that the stupid machine didn't work again. They had to have all these backup plans. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I have gotten from watching my boys navigate this world not built for blindness. They always have backup plans. I may have talked about this on another video, but I watched Michael when I moved him to Orlando a couple months ago, and now talk about transition. We prepared as much as we could, but we were stepping into an apartment complex we had never seen before. This was all done online and on the phone. We get there, and I will say that going through transitions, you should cheer them as they come, because the more practice you get, the better and better and better you get at this. And stepping onto this apartment complex where I had 3 days to have Michael manage this new apartment. He didn't know anybody in these hundreds of probably 1,000 people complex, 2 pools, all this stuff. You have to get mail like across the complex. It was insanity. And the person that's responsible for all the special accommodations, well, I almost jumped over the over the counter and tackled her. I was so mad at her because she was so useless. And Michael knew she's plan A. I'm going to go. He went 8 minutes with her and realized he wasn't getting any further. And then he's moving on to plan B, moving on to plan C. He was halfway across the complex, moving on to plan D. And I'm still yelling at the woman of plan A. I'm like, maybe I should take a lesson here and know to have backup plans for transitions. But that's one of the biggest things I've learned from them. The first option in a transition tends to not be the one that's going to carry you the distance.
And sometimes it can, but you need to be open, flexible, and adapt to what gets thrown in your way. How can I work through this? Who can I ask for help? So I'm going to share just quick here. I went years ago. I started building my self-confidence, raising my self-esteem, learning how to ask for things I needed, I wanted to learn, understanding that it's okay that I don't know everything. I'm not a loser because of my I really started to transcend my limiting beliefs and move from this place that I was stuck. And I was afraid to transition into new things because I might fail. People might laugh at me. I had all the reasons. So I went on my first conference to better myself, to learn more about marketing and development in business. And I flew all the way to the West Coast, and I didn't build a vision of success. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know what transition really was. I just read all about it and I said, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And I flew all the way there. And I say that because I wasn't doing much of any flying back in the day. I was stuck in my little cocoon. And I flew there and I got there and I figured it out, and I went to my bungalow and I went to the vent, and I went in, I sat down, I ran to the front in the first day, and everything seemed great. There wasn't much, nothing, no pressure. I just was a student sitting there. I didn't have to talk to many people. I said hello. I kept in my little shell. But the next day I had to go there and I had to pick out my own name badge. It was on a table and I couldn't see it. So I started panicking. And my stress of I can't see to pick up my name badge, watching people just walk up gracefully and go point and pick up their name badge and walk into the event, I started getting resentful. That's not fair. I can't do that. So I do the low vision dive, my nose is skimming the table when no one is around, then I'd pop my head up. And now I'm mad at the people because they don't know how to put things in alphabetical order. That's the way I would have done it, make it easier. And so I'm freaking out. My stress now has moved to anxiety. I'm anxious and I'm ready to run back and schedule my trip back home. And I finally just said, all right, I better ask for help. Hey, can you help me find my thing? I forgot my glasses in my room. I lied. And, but I got in there and then I shared that story and I got a barrier. I got a big limiting belief shattered at that event by the leader of it. He said, how much longer are you going to carry the chip on your shoulder that you are different or don't deserve something because you have low vision? How much longer are you going to do that? And how's that working for you in your life? And I was like, ouch. You're right, but you are worthy, he said. You are worthy. We believe in you. You need to start believing it. He went off on me. And I was like, I hate this guy. But I didn't, because it was a massive aha moment and change in my life. The next conference I went to, it was about a 5-day long one, Kristin. I went a day early. And what did I do? I walked the entire I walked where the conference rooms were. I walked where my room was. I walked where the convenience store was, how to get a taxi if I needed it. I walked to find out where the workout gym was, where the pool was. I went, where can I go on a walk and enjoy myself and not get lost and go into bad areas if there were any. I maximized my environment for success. And you know what I asked them? I said, is it possible that this name badge, can I take this back to my room so I don't have to look for it? They said, yeah, no problem. Duh. I never thought of that. I said, well, why do you put them on the table? Because most people forget and they leave them in the room and then they have to run back and get them. And that holds up the start time of our event. I said, I won't do that. Trust me, I will have mine. So do you want to know what that one ask did for me? How it raised my confidence level through the roof. So I'm like, I can't wait to go on my next conference. I now know how to build my self-confidence. I know how to maximize my environments for success and really get the most out of and be at the highest level of service, where my legal blindness was no more of a barrier as I attended these types of events.
Wow. That's right. I didn't realize, I knew that story, but I didn't know that their system was to put it back on the table. You'd have to go through that again. And then of course, just take it with you. See, something so simple. And they probably were like, it opened their eyes to, making it so much easier for you. That story reminds me of when Michael was in kindergarten and went to the regular public school, and he took the regular school bus in our neighborhood. The way that it was initially set up, he would get off the bus and they had to come across the street to the bus stop. And every day I would meet him up there because I was so nervous. Like now they have the bar comes out in front of the bus to make sure that the kids have to know to walk around it so the bus driver sees these little bodies and no one gets hit by the bus. But I was up there one day, it was probably like the third day of school. And just when I was thinking, oh, maybe he'll be okay crossing the street coming off the bus and I won't have to worry, because I wanted him to eventually walk home on his own. No sooner did I think that, one of his little friends, it was this, oh my God, to this day, he is just one of the happiest kids you could ever meet. Of course, he's a young adult now. He was so excited to tell Michael a story about what happened in school that he was jumping all over the place to tell Michael this story as they're trying to cross the street in front of the bus. And Michael froze because the kid was jumping and talking so much. Michael lost his sense of direction and couldn't remember where that bar was to walk around it. So I see him freeze. There's this giant bus that needs to take off, and I'm now panicking. Of course, I start freaking out and yelling for the bus to not move and get Michael around the bar. So I go home. I'm sulking. I'm mad. I'm trying to figure it out. And I called my neighbor who had older kids at that point, and she worked in early intervention, and she's way calmer than I am. But I knew she'd have a perspective that had no emotion tied to it. And I said, Susan, am I asking too much of my kindergartner to be able to cross the street and walk home? Like, how's he ever going to get through life if he can't get off a bus and cross the street safely, no matter what's happening around him? She's like, well, he's in kindergarten. He's only 5 and he hasn't navigated all this before. But she said, we live on a circle. Why can't the bus come in the neighborhood and go the other way, so that at the bus stop, he's on the same side of the street that he has to be on and doesn't have to cross the street this year? Then he can practice confidently walking home without that stress of crossing the street at 5 years old. Well, then I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. But what do I do? Call the bus company? She said, call the bus company. So then I paced for like an hour. Who am I to call the bus company? Why does this have to happen? My son is blind. This is awful. So I called the bus company. The guy could not have been nicer. He was so excited to be a part of having Michael be successful. And he was like, Kristin, it's kind of dumb that we've done this before anyway, that we are having all these little kids cross the street when it's a circle. And just like, he loved the solution for all kids, not just my kid. And there was Michael after that, easily walking, skipping home every single day without me at the bus stop.
There's always a way.
Just have to look at it differently instead of sitting there spitting nails about it and picking him up every day and getting more agitated and then hampering, is that the word? Hampering his confidence and his ability to be independent. One phone call with one question, and it worked out for everybody. So,
well,
there you go.
That's good stuff. And I think it's time for you and I to transition. Transition from what we love doing to bringing it to an end. But before we do that, I just wanted to say, inside the Thriving Blind Academy, pretty much all our programs and things we do are built on transition, because if Thriving Blind in Business, transition. Thriving Blind Parenting, transition. Thriving Blind transitions as into college, into the workplace, and as we move through life. It's all about this transition, vision of success, maximizing your environments, modeling after other successful people, and knowing you're not alone. I mean, that's what besides responsibility, believing it's possible. All this stuff comes together, but understanding transitions can be stressful, can be successful. But bottom line is, as you move through these, you're going to grow mentally, spiritually, physically. You're going to build more confidence. You're going to look back and say, why did I get myself so worked up? I love this. It's like anything in life. Think about something you freaked out or stressed over, and now you look back and say, I've mastered this phone to the maximum, to where I need it to be, and I'm getting the most out of it. But let me tell you, there was a time I was ready to throw this phone out the window because I was blaming it for my angst in my life. And really, it was me not taking the time to understand I see myself successful on this phone. I do understand it's going to take some time. I do understand I'm going to need to ask for help. I do understand I'm going to make mistakes and get frustrated. But I can do this, one day at a time, whatever it is.
Yeah, and to your point of all the programs for transitioning, it's all built on that in the academy. Those are Monday chats with all the members and mentors. It's one transition question and strategy after another. I'm thinking about all the different topics we've talked about lately, and between the earlier group that has a lot of adults with blindness and low vision, and the evening group that has all the parents of blind and low vision kids, it is always rooted in a transition is happening, and how can I be successful? And what I love about those groups, when we started, it was, how can I survive this? And it quickly turned into, the language is, how can I be successful?
Yep.
No more surviving. It's all looking towards success. This has been a good one. I'm interested to know from folks that are watching to put in the comments about transitions that you have been through or are facing, and ones that you've had success, ones that might be causing you stress. Let's see if we can help out in the comments. I'm interested to see that. And with that, we will wrap up this Kristin and Charlie chat. Make sure that you subscribe here to the Successibility channel. Hit the bell to get notified every week when a new episode comes up. And trust me, you are going to want to hit that bell, because when Charlie's episodes of his stuff that he's doing in the world come up, I love watching those, and they are getting rave reviews from folks. And some of them are messaging me privately to say, he's talking about motorcycles a lot. Is he going to be riding a motorcycle? I'm like, you have to wait and see.
Maybe. Different kinds.
You definitely don't want to miss them.
Yes. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you all inside the academy, if that's the place you want to come in to dive in deeper. Or we love to see your comments, like Kristin asked below, sharing your successes, your stresses. We love it all. And we'll see you next time in our one of our upcoming videos. Any last words, Kristin?
I would just say, if you know somebody that needs this information, share this video and the channel with them so they can be successful too. We'll see you next time.
Keep thriving.